YouTube friends. Welcome to all of the fans and subscribers and the new subscribers. Today we're going to all be armchair travelers in the little area where I live, so get yourself a cup of something hot to drink. I want to take you to see the water. The Bay River is the river close to us. It's much smaller than the Neuse River that I've shown you before, but I want to show you the area near our house, about a half-mile down the road. We can walk there, and then I'll take you down. That's in Bayboro. And then I'll drive down the road and take you to see Vandemere and Hobucken, which are further out in the wilderness. This is a very rural area, very agricultural, lots of fishing, lots of potato growing, fish farms. There's one of those out there, quite a few of those out there. A lot of crab pots and shrimping and things like that. But as you go down our highway, which is Highway 304, you go further and further out toward the sound, and it's just kind of wild, vacant, and beautiful. Because we have such bad hurricanes here, a lot of the houses out there are just what we call dead houses, dead trailers, dead cars. It can look sad and dilapidated to people who don't live here, but we understand that hurricanes destroy people's lives, and you can't always go in and take all the trash away and make it a beautiful little lot and rebuild. Not everybody has that kind of money. So you kind of overlook that and look at the beautiful, and there's lots of beautiful. So let me share it with you. I want to say all of this was filmed safely. If you see the camera drifting off to the side, my eyes are not drifting off to the side. My eyes are on the road driving. I'm just holding the camera out to the side, not knowing what footage I'm going to get. And so this will be cut and spliced a lot to get you a little bit of footage of what you can see as you drive along. Thanks for joining me. All right, so I've driven the quarter-mile down the road to the water. This is the north prong of the Bay River. And before I step out into all that wind where you won't be able to hear me, I'm going to show you the shrimp boats. I'm going to show you various businesses. This was the waterfront in Bayboro, which is our county seat, but it's never developed like some of the other places in the county that are really beautiful tourist spots and have restaurants and lots of docks for people to put their boats at. This place is very quiet and a little desolate looking. There's also an old bank building here that I'm going to try to get a picture of. Really cool looking, but it hasn't been a bank in many, many years. So this is kind of a dilapidated part of the county in some ways, but a lot of thriving businesses, just kind of quiet. So here we go. People line up here every Friday morning early to pick up shrimp and other things that come in on these boats from the Pamlico Sound. There's a little park over there. There is a dock over there where people can put a very small boat. And here's two nice big shrimp boats that unload over there. There's some really beautiful old buildings here. This is the same building. I don't know if you can see, but there's probably a foot of standing water underneath there, a small lake. That's the problem here. There's still a lot of business that goes on here, a lot of fishing. As you can see, somebody in a small boat was just here this morning working on nets. But if you look down this way, these are the older buildings. And they've been flooded and hit by hurricanes too often. And they're in bad repair. further down, even more and more dilapidated buildings. This was all for fish processing at one point, and I'm sure it was a very, very active fishing business. But it's impossible to keep these buildings in repair with the number of storms we have. Now I'll come down to the very end of this building complex. All these buildings are empty and unused. But at one point, Bayboro was very active. And then you look out to the Bay River and you see this really swampy area. This is very low lying. There is a dock over there. And you can probably barely see, I think that was a boat that was up at one point. Yeah, you can still see the line attached to the end of the dock. And immersed in the water between us and the dock is a boat that has sunk all the way. Wonder what happened to the mast. I find this landscape very beautiful. The buildings, not so much, but interesting. And there's the bank building. It's on the main road, and you can see it's been an Easy Mart and a taxi stand. Lots of different things, but you can still see that, really the elegance of the stonework. It was a beautiful building at one point, a small bank. There's just a spattering of houses here on this side of the Bay River in Bayboro. The other side of the small river has more businesses. So now I'm standing in the little park I mentioned earlier that was across the river past the big shrimp boats. It's a public park, a little bit of parking lot and a picnic table, a lovely bridge that crosses this prong of the Bay River. There's those two big shrimp boats. It's very windy. There's a little concession stand, bathrooms, more picnic tables, covered area, little playground, pavilion, a place to store your kayaks or your canoes. There's some old docks over there across the water, but this is the one everybody uses now. And you can see there's little cleats down there that you can attach your small boat to. There's quite a few of them. Now I've come to the far end of this boardwalk, looking back over that little harbor. And things get more wild out here. There's trees, that's a pine tree that seems to be falling over. Lots of grasses. This is where the small fishermen love to come in their little john boats. And I don't know what that orange tub is out there. Is that somebody's lost laundry basket? Or did somebody put that there on purpose to catch something? I don't know. This is land that will probably never be developed because it's just too low. That bridge over there is Highway 55 going to Oriental. And you can't really see it well, but there's a house right in there. That lady has a private boat access that all the boaters like to use, and she has a parking space for them to leave their trucks. And some mornings you pass by and there are a dozen trucks sitting there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and there's that many fishermen that have already gone out for their day on the water, just for fun, for leisure. It is a beautiful day, Christmas Eve, 70 degrees, windy, and the rain is coming tonight. Oh my goodness, look. that was an otter. We do have him here. I wonder if he'll come back. I think there were 2 otters over there running. Well, that is the first of the wild areas near us, but there's some wilder areas yet further down the highway out in Hobucken and Lowland, and maybe sometime soon I'll take you out there. Thanks for joining me with the shrimp boats. Hello YouTube friends, this is Mary Catherine, and I am at the Vandemere Waterfront Park, which is probably about 7 minutes from my house. And I wanted to show you the landscape around this park. It's a boating access area, so this is a park that is designed for boaters. Now the landscape where I live is, as they say, flat as a pancake or flat as a flitter. If you look, let me zoom in on those houses far over there. Boy, that's a good example. Can you see how they've been raised up off the ground really, really far with probably 8 to 10 feet underneath? That's because they got hit by a hurricane and flooded, and the insurance company said, you will raise your house or we will not insure you again. Anyway, here's the parking lot. The parking spaces are really, really long because they're designed for boaters with trailers behind them. And we'll go see a little closer. There's not many boaters here today. Here's a couple of trailers. Here's a major piece of decor in the front of the park. It's an anchor, and that's a very, very popular thing for people to have in their yards even. Big anchors off of boats. I don't know where they find them from. This one they've decorated for Christmas. You can see the water out there. This is a really new park. Just, I don't know, 5 years ago they opened this up. I'm sure that there was some type of boating access here before, but they totally redid this park, I think with grant money. They have a really nice facility over there for town machinery in Vandemere. I think at one time Vandemere was considered for being the county seat of Pamlico County, but it lost out to Bayboro, which is the town where we live. But this was a really important place because of its water access, which we'll go see right now. There are 3 cute gazebos that you can sit in and have lunch or supper, and some grilling spots and benches. The building over there has a meeting room and bathrooms. And then, if I step behind this little pine tree, you can see there's a lovely large pavilion for groups to eat at. I've been here for several events for that in that area. These are places you can bring your boat in. Here's somebody coming in right now. The yellow dock in the middle is what's called a floating dock. We even have dandelions blooming. This section of the boardwalk I'm on here has these nice concrete docks. Lots of pilings for tying your boat up to. Really nice water access. There's that floating dock back there. And a good seawall, retaining wall. It's been really well built. It's a good size. And although more used than it used to be, it's really kind of Pamlico County's best kept secret. There's lovely water out here. I believe that's Broad Creek out there, which comes off of the Bay River. I'll have to check. They don't allow any crab pots or traps, any kind out here, which is nice because that can be really difficult for boaters. The crab pots can be thick on the water. Now, if you look over there past these nice new pilings, you'll see some old ones there. And they go with some of those old buildings over there. I think they're still in use. But this used to be a pretty big fishing industry in this area, but you can tell that those are not used now. I'm sure there were a lot of shrimp boats tied up at some point. I don't know what happened to commercial fishing based out of Vandemere, but it doesn't seem to be active now, as far as I can tell. But the leisure fishing is quite popular. And look at all the spaces for bringing your boats in here. There's just so many. And I've rarely seen these slips out here occupied. But Adam and I love to come out here because it's so near our house. And our favorite bench is that one right there, because it looks out over the water. I love all these nice stony edges. They just did a beautiful job. Sadly, some of these pine trees that don't have deep roots anyway are really being eroded by the water, high water and the storms, I suppose. And those two right there look like they are really going to fall over. I don't know if they're going to hit anything except for other trees, but their root system is bad on this side. And there's a few up there. And oh my goodness, these don't look very good either. This is much worse than when we were here last. So they're definitely going to have to do something about that. Somebody's brought their paddleboard out, I think, and left it on that little, that's so adorable, that little teeny slip of sand. Isn't that sweet? I love it here. Vandemere is a very small, quiet town in a very small, quiet county. If you want an out-of-the-way place to escape to that only has one little teeny shop and really nothing else, then Vandemere, North Carolina might be the answer for you. Oh, look, there's a crab pot over there. See that yellow thing? That's a crab pot. Here comes another boat. Big sky. These birds are. I'll have to ask a friend. One of them is white. One of them's kind of browny blue. Do you see him over there? There he is. Oh. And there she goes. This is some footage I've wanted to share with you for a long time. This is just on the outskirts of Hobucken, North Carolina. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is the Inner Banks. This is far, far away from the Atlantic Ocean. That's, I don't know what river or creek that is far over there. Can you see it? Just a sliver of silver. But all of these reeds and rushes grow here. So much wildlife, so much bird life. And really nobody but the fishermen come out here. It's too wet to farm. I did know a family who had some catfish farms out here. There's a pile of crab pots there. But they're in so much grass, it makes me wonder how long it's been since they've been used. And then way down the road, I'm not going to drive any further, but there's a couple of boats that have been abandoned apparently. At least one of them has been there a long time. But isn't this utterly captivating? This area is also called Goose Creek Island. See, there's a gated fence down that road. Who knows what's out there? This is a house I photographed about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's totally fallen down now, except for that chimney. We're going back the other way. I love the name of this little building. It once was a bar. The Flamingo Rider Motorcycle Club. It doesn't look like much now, and I don't think there's any motorcyclist getting drunk there at night. Mostly along this road, you see men pulled over in their trucks by a little bridge over a little creek, and they are fishing. All day long they're fishing.